Welcome back. So, Twitch has been an absolute continuous explosion over the last few days, rocked by multiple controversies, and in the midst of all of this, they've updated their partnership contract in a way that is, pretty troublesome, actually. And that is, of course, on top of how they already removed their exclusivity clause and had a few other little dramas regarding advertising. Yeah. So overall for Twitch, it is a very bad week, and you absolutely know that on the head of them making what is widely considered to be a positive move with the gambling, not an outright ban, but a partial gambling ban, well, in the middle of the night in their home region, they slipped in another bit of news. And of course, if a company releases its bad news very shortly after its good news, but pretty much in the middle of the night for its home region, well, you know that there's definitely something a bit sketchy going on, and that's the sort of thing that you can protect yourself from with today's sponsor, nordvpn.com/Bellular News, and it's available at my link with 4 months for free and a 30-day money-back guarantee. They've even got a new bundle that includes NordPass, and NordPass will handle your passwords. Now, not only is that extremely convenient, but it also helps protect you against things like, say, credential stuffing attacks, which you don't want. Of course, a VPN offers loads of protection as well, as an example, encrypting your traffic, and that hinders things like man-in-the-middle-of attacks, keeping you safe. Of course, you can also browse the internet as if you're anywhere on Earth, allowing you to bypass regionally locked content, and even sometimes save some money via regional pricing differences. If you're on a holiday and you need a rental car, you can VPN back to your home country, book it, and there's a good chance that doing that will bypass you being basically price gouged. That's all in the app and browser extension that are super easy to use, and you'll get a bonus 4 free months with my offer at nordvpn.com/Bellular News, and of course, 30-day money-back guarantee. So, thanks to Nord for keeping the show going. Let's go. Today we're really dealing with a confluence of multiple narratives, and I think to start off, we'll talk about the thing that we rose this issue up like a month ago on our show, and that is Gamba, as it's called on the platform.
Gamba content, which is the absolute bane of Twitch and is going completely, or for the longest time went completely uncontested because too many people on the platform were gaining from it, too many people with influence. So you kind of go, well, if everyone's running away with a load of money and it's all kind of coming from, on the download, no one would talk about it. It's actually coming from the viewers. That's how you know when someone's sponsoring you, the money's coming from the money they're making back. And it's this whole thing of everyone watching knew it was a problem, right? Everyone could see this is a problem. This is going horribly wrong. But there was no big thing. There was no one gigantic event. There was no big shift in the tide. No kind of the confluence of everything at once. It was like, this is kind of bad. And it was just swelling and swelling and swelling. And I think most people, like me included, were just waiting. Something's going to go horribly wrong, and then Twitch will be forced to address gambling because it's just destroying the platform and video games. And finally, in what's ultimately bad news for a lot of people, that event did happen. Yeah. Now, it's unfortunate that it got caught up with a lot of streamer drama. To cover, though, the policy position first, we've got Twitch's updated policy on gambling, saying they've been actively reviewing since their last major policy update, and while they prohibit sharing links or referral codes to all sites that include slots, roulette, or dice games, people have obviously been able to circumvent that stuff. So they're making a policy, and this will come into effect October 18th, that prohibits the streaming of gambling sites that include slots, roulette, or dice games that are not licensed either in the US or other jurisdictions that provide sufficient customer protection, and they specifically call out stake.com. As well as, of course, a lot of them, but Stake was deeply tied into really a lot of this situation. Now, they did say that they will continue to allow websites that focus on sports betting, fantasy sports, poker, things like that. Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah, I think it's that thing with poker where you can obviously lose a stupid amount of money with poker in the same way that you can with slots. But from what I understand, even in casinos, slots are slightly more guarded away and treated as, obviously not guarded away. The casino wants people to go to slots, but slots are where a lot of very problem gambling can happen. Not to say that the other forms of gambling are okay. Obviously, around the UK and Ireland, sports betting is basically a scourge in society.
Yeah, it surely like it's a problem, but there's like it's more of an argument, right? It's more of an argument there for sports betting, fantasy sports, poker, and like games of chance and stuff. It was stake.com and the crypto slots that were mostly the problem as far as like the really severe issues were. So at least that's actually being addressed, especially when it comes to a lot of it was actually the sponsorship stuff. I think that's what really pushed it culturally, as opposed to, because obviously it's going to naturally crop up if people are doing crypto slots and stuff, but it was the fact that all these big streamers were getting very, very large handouts. And that's kind of being able to gamble your Twitch money away that you're getting from your sponsorships and from your subs is actually where the problem kind of actually happened here.
Yeah. Yeah, because like, it's like, even if you're streaming the gambling content and you say you're going to lose money, and you have a little disclaimer saying you're going to lose money, like, do you think that has stopped any of this? Do most people who play blackjack come in there as advantaged players that can perfectly card count and beat the house? No. Everyone has known for the history of gambling in formats like this that the house always wins. Every problem gambler knows that the house always wins. That is, in fact, not the problem. In the same way that, and okay, maybe it's less a direct, like, nicotine addiction, but at least over here, like, you know, every packet of cigarettes says smoking is going to kill you. Mm-hmm. So many places, people still smoke. It's like, knowledge ain't the issue here.
Yeah, it actually reminds me of a conversation I wasn't part of it. I saw it happening recently, and it was people talking about how, you know, the over here we've got these really grotesque images on smoking packets that show basically here's what the kind of damage it'll physically do, and there's like a load of different ones, and I saw people joking about them as if they were like trading cards. It's like, oh, you got your packet of tobacco. What was on that? Oh, you got that one. Oh yeah, I like that one. Or like that one's like the least grotesque, and people are talking about them as trading cards.
And for a bit of color on that, I have a press release from DraftKings, which of course is a sports betting site. And here's the headline. Amazon selects DraftKings as a sponsor and the exclusive pregame and in-game odds provider for Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. So, you know, just kind of funny. Now, as for the scale of this problem, because you might just be like, oh, it's only, you know, it's a small, small number of people. Train says that you will always lose money. It's not that much of an issue. Well, overall, the average viewership for the slots category was 66,000 concurrents, and that generated 2.7% of Twitch's total hours watched. That is, in fact, yeah, that's quite a lot. So, obviously, this is Twitch realizing, right, we have a problem. If this turns into a larger drama, then this could get really bad. What if we have a super high-profile case where things go wrong? And I think when really being online, I think when individuals, you know, streamers, they see each other as streamer friends, and there's also a sort of, you know, sometimes they want to benefit, right, from each other. Of course, yeah. And all of that stuff. And then it has the crucible of all the social media platforms and all of the eyes looking in. And then you throw gambling into the mix. You are basically just creating a massive pressure cooker for what would absolutely suck for the individuals involved, but also be a major problem for Twitch and for Amazon. And I think this is extremely important because I have a hunch, and I think it is fairly decently backed up, that Twitch are nowhere near as good at generating advertising revenue as YouTube are. I mean, half the time I go onto Twitch, it's just backfilling adverts for another Amazon product like Audible. That generally is not happening on other more mature advertising platforms, right? So I'm then thinking, imagine if YouTube gaming has a humongous amount of gambling controversies. By the way, there is gambling content on YouTube, which of course I do disapprove of as well. But because Twitch is just like sort of one big cultural blob, that is going to drive advertisers away. Advertisers who already face a lot of issues on the Twitch platform that don't exist on other more mature advertising platforms. And then obviously for Twitch, they're like, well, we need to get our revenue up. We need more ads. We need better quality ads that are paying at a higher rate. The last thing we need is, Coca-Cola sees a massive drama and pulls out.
Yeah, there's the reason that like YouTube is advertiser first in that sense, and then obviously the moving to get like memberships and stuff like that. But it's always been the ad model is what the kind of internet is built on in that sense.
It's called the creator economy.
Yeah, and Twitch have this whole thing where they kind of got to where they were almost by accident, and as soon as they got there, they had no idea what to do with it. They put up this veneer of like always being for the streamer, always being for the creator and stuff like that, but none of that ever manifested into the hard problems, the hard back-end systemic problems, and building a better service that way. They've got a good service in a whole bunch of different like user-facing ways, but they didn't do what they should have been doing the whole time for their actual customers. And the actual customers are the creators. They didn't set up ways for them to monetize ultimately. They tried in a bunch of ways, as we'll get into. They certainly have like they made decent enough moves there, but they didn't do like the hard engineering work that YouTube kind of got a little bit for free from being an older platform and having like the video way. But it's even the case of, I don't know how well, like I literally don't know how the platform works on like Twitch's end, but it's like, I don't know if they'd have the ability to say, right, okay, well, advertisers, you can't go on a couple of these creators. Whereas obviously YouTube on a video by video basis knows what's in this video, this, and this. Sweet. Well, I'm perfectly happy to put my ad on that, and my ad pays well. On you go.
Yeah,
what's that? You've got really in-depth, like, I guess, statistics for who's going to view this video, and and you can actually tweak that algorithmically, and you can kind of push our ads towards correct demographics instead of letting this like naturalistic Twitch environment work.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, that's great. And obviously, as much as the ad model has its issues, it's sure better than no one getting any money.
And it also gives a lot more visibility for creators. We know what things are on what side of the line now. It's not perfect. It does cause problems. But overall, it does allow for a sustainable creator economy that is meshing both fan funding and advertisement revenue. And that does actually end up working. What we see with Twitch here and their policy moves that we're going to rip them on soon is that they have not cultivated a successful enough creator economy for their platform business to drive the numbers that they need. Now, we talked about the idea that a big gambling incident could happen. There could be a massive drama. And I think Twitch were looking into this anyway. But I think evidently the thing that drove them to be like, okay, shit, we need to put this live, we need to talk about this now, is this situation. And this is a situation where, mental health comes into it, being a gambling addict comes into it. There was a period of time, and this is something that I'm very reluctant to mention, but obviously there are very serious, permanent bad ways, if you get what I'm getting at, that this story could have went on, where it could have been in a way facilitated by what Twitch is doing that would have presented a humongous problem for Amazon and likely a large news story that would have went across major mainstream press, which doesn't matter to Twitch streamers, doesn't matter to gamers, but does matter to advertisers. And that's important when Twitch is doing all that it can to get creators to run more ads. So to dive into this drama, we've got basically a situation with It's Slicker, who was essentially asking other creators and asking viewers to donate money in order to pay off debts, right? And there's a few examples, like Luke AFK offered 27k to his friend. Just a few examples like this also happening. It also, of course, just happening to, regular viewers and that kind of thing. Now, people then realize, hang on, he's been independently asking all these people for, this is evidently a scam. But we need to go into what actually is fueling this. And ultimately what is fueling this is, well, it comes back to mental health. And it comes back to, the reasons why people sort of take these, bad actions. Of course, as this starts to hit larger creators like XQC, you just get more and more eyeballs on the situation. Eventually, the admission is made, and it basically turns out there was an addiction to skins in CSGO. And how many times have we said that Valve actually was like, patient zero or whatever in in the loot boxes and that kind of thing.
In online gambling in a way that was going to feed through to gamers in a way that was kind of just snuck in under the door.
Yeah,
and that was it.
We had a massive drama, of course, where people would be able to essentially literally gamble in CSGO skins and then cash out.
Yeah,
But then
and the whole Phantom Lord thing around that, where
Yeah.
people were bad actors there and abusing that and abusing the viewers for it. It all just kind of, it happened before. It just wasn't real money, and it wasn't crypto at that time. It was CSGO skins.
Yeah, and then that turns into real money. This guy ends up being a gambling addict. All the money that he's earning in Twitch is going into a gambling addiction. And overall, you have a very rough situation. And thankfully, with a happy enough ending where XQC and Ludwig decided to go in and attempt to compensate those who lost, which, bravo. It's good when people who have money decide, like, okay, we will use this to fix this. Not fix, but help out.
Yeah, good stuff whenever, like, there's a couple people on the platform who, as much as they kind of let things slide, sometimes they are actually good moral actors when it comes down to it. And for an idea of the scale of this, it was like $300,000. This is $300,000. It was borrowed under the pretense of, oh, hey, I need like $1,000, because that's what he asked for most of the time, was like $1,000 to unlock my bank account because I didn't pay his taxes, he was saying, or something. And it's like, oh yeah, I need $1,000, and then I'll get it back to you whenever. But then just gambled it and did that to like hundreds of people, hundreds of people, friends, streamers, viewers, full on. This is someone in this severe addiction crisis kind of stuff.
So that was, ultimately a really, really bad situation. Yeah. Now, it did end up getting quite a bit worse, though. So what happened is there was a sort of a large public, with Pokimane, Mizkif, and Devin Nash. They were kind of coming together saying, hey, gambling, let's get it off Twitch. This then got very much derailed. Trainwreck released some allegations about Mizkif and I think another OTK person.
Mizkif's girlfriend at the time.
All right, gotcha. Covering up a sexual assault in 2021. This whole thing then just sort of spiraled as, it kind of went through the entire creator ecosystem. Yeah. Now, the way that it's ended up, and I think especially this was rough because of a Twitch VOD from Mizkif like a year ago. Eventually what happened though is the Mizkif is stepping away. OTK ultimately as an org have done the right thing. So the offending individual is going to be out of their house. Mizkif is on leave, and they are getting a third party company or whatever to come in and fully investigate the whole situation.
Yeah, it's absolutely the right move from everyone kind of organizationally involved here. But it is lucky that this didn't actually derail the thing away from Twitch, and Twitch did immediately act on the gambling stuff, because I think that was what maybe a bit of a raid, but some of the intention there was to kind of throw that up there, which is so throw a bit of a smoke screen in front of it, which is interesting. But
another side of it as well, there were some more leaked DMs with slurs, etc. coming from Mizkif as well. It was basically
full on like
mess.
All the streamers are now just in a big fight, throwing everything they have on each other, and that's just kind of how that ended up. But Twitch didn't. Twitch stayed out of that and continued to ban gambling, which is good.
Yeah, I just think for the most part, look, we are here to talk about game industry news. Yeah. This drama is tangential to the situation. It is still part of the story, but it's really not what our focus is. Yeah, I'd say though, with you can see multiple instances here. Like as an example, the person. When one of the people involved here went missing for a while, and there started to be fears. Again, I bring up those are obviously very real human problems. They are also problems that would present a rather existential threat to a large, uncaring corporation like Amazon, who owns Twitch. And that is why we've got to talk about how Twitch decided to cash in the good press earned by the partial gambling ban for basically just doing an update. It's called A Letter from Twitch President Dan Clancy on Subscription Revenue Shares. And I'm going to just rocket through with you the core takeaways here and explain to you how this kind of thing matters. So he says that Twitch used to offer premium agreements to some streamers for their revenue share, and those were not offered for more than a year. They did not publicize the terms, they were not consistent, and they generally went to larger audiences. Essentially, some of the big fish were able to get 70-30, right? Now, 70-30 is, of course, good. Also, 70-30 is what YouTube offers its creators on the likes of Super Chats, memberships, that kind of thing. So, even like for the longest time since these things have existed in YouTube have been offering a better revenue share than Twitch. The difference, and most Twitch streamers have had the 50-50. So what Twitch are going to do is they're going to alter the deals, saying that they will retain, these streamers who are kind of grandfathered into this very, very nice contract. They're going to keep their 70-30 split, but only for the first $100,000. Everything past that is going to be 50-50. Now, $100,000 is a hell of a lot of money. That said, if you are, if you have multiple staff, if you're kind of like, running a business, then it's like, right, this is cutting out some top line revenue. To some people that would suck. And let's be real, for a lot of those big people on Twitch, the vast majority of their money is past 100,000. So this is quite large to them, right? So like 90%, probably more than 90%, maybe 99%, whatever. A massive quantity of streamers are not going to be impacted by this. But the thing that we need to call out is the big names are the people who, they make moves, they set trends. Obviously, it didn't work out with Mixer, but YouTube Gaming, I think we can all admit, as they are offering better terms and they're beginning to have more feature parity, the likes of Ludwig moving over, Dr. Disrespect. Yeah, competition is heating up. And then when they talk about their recent bump in ad revenue share to 55% as part of the ad incentive program, again, a lot of us who are used to other more mature platforms look at that and we do kind of laugh. Yeah. Because, 55% is what we've been getting in YouTube on ads for years. And this is them saying, hey, we'll give you 55% if you jump through hoops. And for some people, they feel that those hoops, which can be maybe 6 minutes of ads per hour, so 10% of the time in the stream, people just feel that is in no way okay because they don't feel like they have enough control because these are only for the auto-placed ads. That's one issue. Another issue that I would also say is the quality of advertising on Twitch. Now, I know it can be frustrating when YouTube serves similar-ish or the same ads to you a few times, but when that does happen, it's like, skip in 5 seconds. And did you know that whenever you click that, we actually don't get paid? Like, yep. with that format of ad. So I think that's a format of ad. And by the way, it is the one that does overall pay the most per quantity of views. And I think it's one that strikes a nice balance. If it's not relevant to the person being advertised to, they can skip it pretty quickly. So that's good for the viewer. And for the people who maybe would be interested in whatever's being advertised, they can click on it. We get paid, right? Overall, while not ideal, and it can be a pain in the butt, and I know that too, it is better than what has been the Twitch experience for me, which is just, hey, would you like to watch multiple unskippable 30-second advertisements for Audible? And of course, Audible. What is Audible? An Amazon company. And that, I think, that's almost telling me something. Now, maybe it could be that their advertising is just not as mature in the UK market. But if they are having to backfill ad inventory with one of their parent companies, or basically with a sister company, that tells you that surely the higher paying, large brands coming in with a lot of spend, that those things aren't happening in Twitch. And then we've got to ask ourselves, why do those things not happen? And then it becomes obvious. On YouTube, brands have confidence, right? They actually have confidence because, look, when we upload a video, we fill in a little form, and it's a very quick checklist that literally takes seconds, but it just flags up the things that are in our video. And if and YouTube does check if we're not lying, and eventually, if you continue to not lie and be accurate in your assessment of the advertiser friendliness of your own content, then your trust rating with YouTube goes up. And overall, this has created a system where, let's just say there was an extremely controversial, very touchy subject in gaming news. Well, we would accurately label that, and we would put the video up knowing it's not going to be demonetized.
Yeah. It would likely, if anything, it would be limited, or even then it might not be limited. It might just be YouTube going, okay, well, we know we've got this system that goes, well, here's all the advertisers that are happy with this content. They may not pay as much as advertisers happy with full, nothing wrong here, but it will be, you'll get maybe 80% of the revenue from this video because the ad will go for less.
in fairness-
As in the revenue might be smaller, but even
Yeah.
then it's still just like, oh, this is a whole system. Oh, you've built the thing that works to understand this. All the brands can look at it and go, makes sense. We don't want stuff with I'd say like gambling content. We don't want gambling content ads because that's against our corporate principles and it doesn't convert as well. Sure, grand. Everyone can go, that's fine, and then just carry on and do business.
Yeah.
But in Twitch, it's not that way at all, and that's where the problems come from.
So essentially what's happened is YouTube have realized, right, not all the content on our platform is going to be advertiser friendly, but we still want people to be able to publish that content. And YouTube premium revenue is the same between a, limited advertisement and a, fully advertiser suitable video, right? So this means that an advertiser can have the confidence in doing a buy on the YouTube platform, knowing that that platform contains not advertiser friendly content because they, the advertiser, are able to just say what their preferences are. And while there are cracks at the seams and all of that, but by and large, it actually works. And that means that YouTube has relatively high CPMs. It's an advertiser safe platform, and it's one where it's producing a creator economy that works for the small businesses that, okay, sometimes it's humongous businesses in YouTube, but actually a lot of small businesses. Like we're a small business. Technically speaking, even Linus Tech Tips in their own jurisdiction are a small business, even though they've got like 80 staff now, which is crazy.
Mad.
But it means that overall that thing works. And it's in a situation like that you can have your Linuses and your Marquezes and your Gamers Nexuses, your Hardware Unboxed, right? That's the creator economy allowing for these small businesses that produce media content that we enjoy. And the thing that completely underpins that is advertisers knowing they can safely go on the platform. Now, it's far harder to do this on a live stream, and evidently Twitch have not invested in that tech. And for me, I'm not going to say that it's like a smoking gun or anything, but for me, like the thing that immediately calls up like alarm bells is you're an Amazon company who have got to sell Audible spots. Why are you not getting other brands in there? What's going on here?
40,000 different reasons.
Yeah.
I could name every one of them, and I'd be here all day long.
Every drama that happens makes Twitch less advertiser friendly, and in a way, there's like a little echelon of Twitch that is kind of like Zoomer Big Brother.
Yeah,
and that's a lot of drama.
Yeah, it all becomes effectively social hierarchy drama with people trying to be the best character because it's the point of Big Brother, or the game showiness of it, was that people are voted out by the public every week. So you'd have this whole thing of
may as well happen here.
Yeah, so that's exactly what happens on Twitch, right? Where your popularity is kind of like that's how you live and survive. That's how you live and die on Twitch. You have people watching you, so you create drama that looks in your favor, or you be an entertaining character, so people will like, oh well, that person's a nutcase, but in a cool way, so let's keep them in there. Let's vote out the boring people, and that drives us all this crazy social hierarchy stuff that results in all these tremendous culture problems. And then there's the whole, the data doesn't really support this, but a lot of people think of Twitch and go, oh, is that effective softcore porn site that's a funnel to OnlyFans? Sweet, fantastic, wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. And that's the thing where if an advertiser thinks that, why would someone go, right, we've got X budget, do you want to put it on YouTube or Twitch? Like, that's not even a decision.
And the problem here is Twitch would need to be able to take, say, Amarath, who I think is like one of the ones who was doing the hot tub streams.
Yeah.
Now, let's just say Amarath is playing the new Call of Duty game. Mm-hmm. Well, that's more likely to be advertiser friendly.
Yep.
If Amarath is in the hot tub, maybe that's going to be less advertiser friendly. Does Twitch have a way of distinguishing between the content on those two streams on the same channel with the same person that delineates the differences in advertiser suitability?
There's theoretically they have a system there, which is the tags and stuff.
Yes.
But that clearly doesn't work with advertisers in the back end. Whereas for YouTube, you could go like, there may be some underpinnings, but we could release a video that's absolutely profoundly unadvertiser friendly. We could just be swearing the whole video, nothing else. But we could just say, well, this is not for advertisers. And then that would be like, well, that's demonetized, but everything else should theoretically be completely fine.
Yeah, and we wouldn't be salty about that because YouTube have told us the rules of the game.
Exactly.
If I say the dreaded F-bomb
Yeah.
You should hear how we talk in real life, by the way.
Yeah. Also,
but if I
as
use that multiple times in the first 30 seconds, I'll get demonetized. I know that because YouTube have told me that. I won't be angry about that. And because they'll tell me before I've published the video, I could go and reshoot the start of that video or clip it out.
Yeah.
And I'd be able to get around the problem because I knew. And this is just like in the same way with Content ID in YouTube. It's like, yeah, Content ID, open to exploitation, loads of bullshit there. It is not a perfect system, but it did prevent, remember the humongous DMCA copyright issues with before we had all the streamer-friendly music. Remember that whole situation like a year ago? There was a massive drama on Twitch. That really hasn't happened as much in YouTube because at least there's a system and if it's too friggin' trigger happy, at least you can play around it.
Yeah, and even YouTube are actually making moves on that front where they are throwing in, or they're testing, I think they said the beta would be soon, for a licensed music program, so you can use licensed music with them as part of the thing and not having to mess around with the automated copyright ID stuff. So that's the thing, right? Where YouTube are solving these problems and Twitch are just like, we're Twitch, we're Amazon. So we've got all this, we can do whatever we want.
You're thinking, oh, we're Twitch, we're Amazon. AWS. Now to get on to some more of Amazon's thoughts there. So they've basically said, money me now, more money for me. In a way that I am sure will have a lot of big streamers thinking, okay, well, I still have a lot of subs there. We still get our sub trains and all that stuff. YouTube don't have all those features. So I'm going to keep one foot in Twitch, but I'm going to put some feelers out somewhere else. Like YouTube. Of course, with many of these people already having a large YouTube presence by having their streams be clipped, right? Yeah. So basically, to keep on going then, right? They talk about, you only need to make $50 before they give it to you. They talk about that. They're talking about Prime subs, community gifting, hype train, ads incentive program, which, in fairness, like Prime subs, community gifting, hype train, those are all really good tools.
That's
more because they create a culture. Yeah. So they're basically saying that they are able to, overcome this problem here, cutting some big streamers' revenue from subs via their other things. And in order to justify this kind of thing, they are saying something that, basically is true, but it's not the creator's problem. And other large companies, are able to have a similar issue, but still give creators more money. And that's the problem for Twitch. So they say, live video costs for a 100 CCU streamer who streams 200 hours a month are more than $1,000 a month, right? So that's, a solo streamer, 100 concurrence a month, 100 average concurrence for 200 hours. So that's somebody streaming for 6 hours every single day, every day for a month. In terms of sheer watch time, that is pretty damn humongous. We can all agree. Now, the thing there is, these are AWS's. That's what AWS charges an external company.
Yeah, that's...
AWS is Amazon Web Services. Twitch are owned by Amazon. Surely they are able to access this at a different rate, or surely some form of, happy accounting can be performed between these two companies, because whenever you literally own the supplier and then own the service, user, I mean, that's like the basics of Hollywood accounting, right? You own the costume and prop company that's doing the costumes and props to your studio, and then you have the prop company massively overcharged. So, oh no, we've lost some money, because losing money actually is really beneficial sometimes in business. You just have to lose it craftily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's this crazy whole thing about, even saying that is so... it's so defensive, right? Because if you think of this in sense of PR, you're like, okay, so that's the publicly available rates, which means either Amazon hate you so much, Twitch, that they're not giving you a discount, or you're technically kind of lying in a sense. Neither of those things are particularly good optics. And that's the thing where it's like, we don't want to tell you this because that'll, it's not for you to worry about as creators. You're like, yeah, well, why'd you tell them then? That's a very weird kind of... It just seems like a very silly move. And everything about this whole announcement to me is like, is that just the desperate death throes of Twitch?
Yeah.
Is the death knell going off in the distance? Obviously, it'll be a long time yet because it's so culturally ingrained. But it's like, is this stuff kind of going really bad? Will Amazon end up selling them off at some point? Because that's why they're trying to push for ad revenue. That's why they're trying to push all this stuff up. Is literally, we're not making enough money, which means we'll have to downsize or be sold or get rid of or something like that.
And it's like, sorry, bro, that's your problem. YouTube is offering a competing service that in some ways, like I find the YouTube player gives me less bullshit than the Twitch player.
Same.
One of the things Asmongold tweeted was like, oh yeah, you better not leave that Twitch player in another tab because you might come back and it just will have fallen over. But they're actually saying like, hey, we're giving you this peek behind the curtain. You know, you shouldn't have to think about this, but we're doing this for your benefit. Well, I wish YouTube would give us more peeks behind the curtain, obviously, but I feel like I better understand that. And YouTube say to me, hey, 55-45 on ads. That's what it is. Twitch says 55-45 if you automatically stream this number of ads per hour and stream this many hours per month, and we'll calculate all of that dynamically in a way that is basically turning you into a quasi gig economy situation where, because I've seen people say like, oh yeah, I did my incentive program for like, a few months, and the amount it's wanted me to stream has just went up and up and up. And the thing is that because they basically have everyone by the, well, not literally, but the metaphorical balls in this one, they can be like, oh, hey, we actually want to get more ads in the platform. So one sec.
Yeah.
Just going to squeeze the balls, because that's exactly what it's like. If they're thinking, okay, advertising revenue, it's what we need. Shit, we need to be serving more ads. How do we do this? And we're like, well, boss, good thing that we designed the advertisement incentive program. We'll just increase the amount of streaming hours we ask for by 5% and increase the amount of ad placements that we ask for by 10%. Because they conditionally give you a fair market rate for the advertising that they're, that you're providing for them, the ad inventory that you're providing for them, because that's conditional, they've got you by the balls. Whereas on YouTube, if I put up 100 videos, it'll be 55-45. If I put up one video, it'll be 55-45. Twitch are an absolute clown show. They're a total clown show.
And anyone who's been following Twitch for the longest time know that, because the people who used to work there that were actually like capable of making moves in the market and in the culture don't work there anymore largely. I think there's no version of that that's more astute than when you watch DJ Wheat talk about what Twitch was like.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, well, you're one of the most, like, generally speaking, a profoundly influential individual in esports and that whole culture and gaming culture. And you're like, fuck this piss, I'm out. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, there you go. There you go. This must be a place that's like just run into the ground. They don't really know what they're entirely doing all of the time. They probably made a lot of good choices and good decisions, but they made it in a way that was a good idea at the time, but maybe they didn't think of every eventuality. Whereas YouTube are kind of like almost like the quiet grinder in the background doing the right thing. Sometimes they make pretty big missteps and sometimes they're abysmally quiet. But in terms of the experience of being on YouTube in so many ways has quietly gotten better over the last decade.
Yeah.
Whereas on Twitch, anytime there's a problem, it takes $300,000 of scamming and all of the top streamers starting to say, we will literally boycott you and destroy your revenue if you don't ban gambling. It takes that for them to ban gambling. Whereas if something major happens like culturally on YouTube, they start to implement like back-end engineering solutions, and that's probably because they're Google instead of Twitch. So where YouTube was Google first, so they brought over Google engineers, whereas Twitch was, hey, let's get like the gaming culture people in, and that's good for what they did, but they also needed to get talented engineers and back-end systems people in to make a platform work, because Twitch operates and always have operated a little bit too much like a brand as opposed to a platform. And those are two very, very, very different things.
Yeah. So I think what fundamentally has happened is Twitch has not been investing in the integrity of its creator economy as much as it needed to. Exactly. What YouTube did is they initially reactively invested in their creative economy. That showed them that this is the thing that they have got to get right. Because look, if the YouTube partnership program doesn't exist, then YouTube is still funny, zero-cost videos. People cannot make a business. And you might say, like, well, it's just playing video games. I watch people, I watch, like, streamers on YouTube. It's like, yeah, but they have got to hire editors. That thumbnail might take half an hour. To cut down that very massive stream might have taken a few days. Like, that's actually work in the media space, right? So YouTube eventually proactively invested money in the integrity of its creator economy, meaning that it is now a more mature place to make content where people are just, it's just going to work better. And then versus TikTok now, YouTube announced starting next year a proper advertising and rev share based model for YouTube Shorts. That's the thing that's because I think TikTok does their stuff as a watch time distributed creator fund. That's also what the YouTube Shorts fund was. That has meant that the CPMs have not been particularly high. YouTube now is saying, okay, well, we need to expand the creator economy that has integrity over to the short space. So I suppose that's basically the overall situation. Like, take even clips. Why does Twitch not have a whole user flow optimized in mobile for clips that is, you can algorithmically generate that based on people's viewership. You can then advertise in those clicks. Like, they just haven't invested enough. And that's ultimately where we are now. Haven't invested enough. They've been weak in policy issues. And this has just meant that their brand has been dragged through the mud. They're evidently not able to attract or at least instill confidence in advertisers. Advertisers are a massive pillar of their business. That pillar does actually seem to be on shaky ground. We are now seeing them basically hold their own creators ransom to getting a reasonable cut of the ad revenue they generate. Scummy stuff.
But hey, at least gambling's banned.
At least gambling's banned.
Yeah, that should have been done. When did the Phantom Lord thing happen? About 10 years ago now, maybe?
Yeah, and it should have actually been done before that.
Yeah.
Because they should have had smart people trying to work out what the correct policy positions they would need to have a long-term sustainable platform. Because I am sure that the multiple epidemics that they have had, whether it be people getting blind, drunk, and debauchery happening, whether it's, just all the different various things, if they had been proactive about their policies and strident in their reinforcement, then perhaps advertisers would have more confidence, and then they'd be in a position where their revenue was at a place where they did not have to make short-term money decisions at the expense of the long-term integrity of their platform. That is it for us today. I hope you found this to be an interesting one. I think this is a story that's obviously captivated the whole internet because fundamentally it is about the media ecosystem that either, you're in the creator position, you're in the viewer position. Either way, it impacts people.
Yeah, it impacts so much because so much people's watch time is YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that. Especially in the gaming ecosystem where it's that's almost it's something people do in second monitors, which I would never recommend because you use your focus correctly, etc. Not to be preachy, but it's so much of a secondary consumption part of that. Where hey, I'm going to play video games. What are you going to do when you're done playing video games? You're going to watch other people play video games, or you're going to in the case of, say, you're an esports video game player, you like League or Valorant, whatever, you're going to go watch someone play Valorant to learn from them. Or, you're going to go watch guides on YouTube, or you're going to go watch, just content on YouTube around that. And that's a thing where a lot of that was born because of what Justin TV started. And that obviously became Twitch, and then Twitch did that. YouTube's now kind of grappling onto that. So it's a case of, you could have the world in your fingertips, but if you don't actually build a plan to keep it there, it will go somewhere else. And there will be a shift in gaming culture whenever something moves to a different platform, because Twitch and the open-endedness of it is what drove a lot of that stuff. So we're going to see that. We're going to see that change in the next couple of years as Twitch either manages a profound miracle or continues dying a slow death. As YouTube just hoover everything up and go, we're going to do everything right, which, YouTube is monopolistic platform. Probably not great in the long term, but we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah. No, unless Twitch unless Amazon decide, right, we need to throw money into growth. We need to exploit the fact that we are Amazon, even more so than with Twitch Prime, so that these dramas are not happening unless they go massive growth mode. Now is not the time to trim down and focus on revenue, because if you do, YouTube will fucking come for you, and we all know they want to. That is it for today. If you want to support the show, support today's sponsor. That's how it is, right? I mean, that allows us to do things such as invest in long-term future of our team, which is why some of the things that I'm working on right now are some expansion plans, and hell, even through that door, we have our latest hire of the company. So it really all actually does go to the real shit. That's it for us. See you next time.